Disney parks are all about wish fulfillment. And who hasn't dreamed of being a superhero? I, for one, always see myself as Iron Man. Get it? Because I'm metal? Anyway, let's kick off the panel about superhero storytelling in the parks. Imagineering panel, assemble!
Hello, everybody.
Everybody.
How y'all doing? Yeah. Are you having a good time at the expo so far? Wonderful. Well, welcome. My name is Brent Strong. I'm an executive creative director here at Walt Disney Imagineering.
I'm Brian Crosby. I'm the executive for Marvel Experiences from Marvel Studios. I try to get Marvel as many times into my title as possible.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. And we're here today to tell you a little bit about our superhero projects going on all around the globe. How many of you guys have had a chance to already walk over and explore the booth and see some of the amazing models and art? Wonderful. Well, if you haven't had a chance yet, we're going to give you a little preview. We're going to tell you a little bit about them. We're going to tell you a little bit about our experience working with these superheroes in all of our parks, resorts, cruise ships around the world, and give you just a little peek at what's coming up in the future. But before we go to the future,
let's go to the past.
there you go. Oh, we should switch sides. We got this.
Oh, okay.
We got this backwards. There you go. Where did you start?
Oh, well, I started right here in Orange County. I didn't come far. About 15 minutes up the road is where I grew up. This is me in the sweet silver moon boots and Incredible Hulk t-shirt. I wore that just last week. And then a cameo appearance by my brother Bobby there with his baseball glove. So I've been a Marvel fan and a theme park fan my entire life. I grew up right here, as I mentioned, in Orange County with Disneyland in my backyard. And I've always loved going to the parks, and never in a million years did I think I was going to get to one day have a job where I could combine the two things that I love the most. And I love collaborating with my friend Brent Strong.
Likewise. And this is me hanging out with Mickey. I too grew up here in Southern California. We visited the theme parks all the time. Disneyland was my happy place. It was where I always wanted to be. And I remember being probably around like 8, 10, something like that. I was in line for the submarine voyage before Nemo ever showed up. And I had this moment of realizing that Disneyland was not a naturally occurring phenomenon. Like, somebody built that place. And back then there was no D23, there was no internet, which is crazy. And so it took a while to figure out what Imagineering was, but I've now been in Imagineering for 20 years, and I've been building attractions all around the world. It's a ton of fun. My first experience with superheroes was actually with my good friend Chris, who I actually see out here in the audience, which is crazy.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, there you go. He read all the comics. He had all the action figures. And so I'd go over to his house and we would just play with all of the action figures, invent our own stories, go on adventures, and now we actually get to do that, but at life size, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I guess my experience with superheroes really started with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the animated series. So yes, I'm a kid of the 80s. I've been with the Walt Disney Company for about 22 years. I started with Imagineering back in 2005. I was actually working as a security guard at the Hilton Anaheim, working through school, so not far away. I got an internship in 2005, was hired that fall, and I was a concept designer for about 10 years at Imagineering until coming over to the Marvel family in 2015. And I've been there ever since, helping bring experiences to the parks and around the world, doing all kinds of weird, crazy things, but Marvel has been a big part of my life.
And in fact, because you were at Imagineering and you've been at Marvel Studios, you actually played a really unique role on one of our first Marvel attractions, right?
That's right, yeah, I did. So the very first attraction, the OG, as I like to call it, the Iron Man experience. Anybody been on the Iron Man experience? Hong Kong Disneyland? All right, very good. I do have a cameo in this attraction, by the way, which is my little claim to fame. So at the very beginning of the ride, if you look out into the hangar, you'll see me with a clipboard looking very official, the Stark Industries vest on, directing people. But this was actually many years in the making. It wasn't easy to come up with what was going to be our first step into a Disney theme park with Iron Man or any of the other Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy or Fantastic Four, any of the other fun things we've been able to do. We talked a lot about, just philosophically, how do we get these characters into a park that is about leaving today and entering the worlds of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy, which you all know very well. Our universe takes place place in the real world, in our world. In fact, there's a comic book, I believe it's Amazing Spider-Man number 286, if I'm not mistaken, where Peter Parker...
I trust you.
Just trust me on that, you can look it up. Peter Parker and Mary Jane go on a book tour to Anaheim, and they go to Disneyland. So that actually, something clicked in my brain that like, Disneyland exists in their universe, and we've seen that in various references in the movies. We've seen Luis from Ant-Man whistling "It's a Small World."
Sure, he wanted to go to Disneyland.
Right. Yeah, you know, I think that goes back to Kevin Feige, who's a huge fan of the parks.
Yes, he is.
And we report all to him, so it's all good. But so we started trying to figure out what was going to be this first step, and so there was also, how many remember the Mission to Mars? Remember that attraction? I always loved that because you would zoom out and you'd see Disneyland down below as you zoomed out, and that was kind of that kind of clicked in my brain as well. So with the Iron Man experience, we said let's embrace this. Let's bring our characters to Disneyland. So we brought the Stark Expo, a little thing from Iron Man 2. And so Tony Stark brought the Stark Expo to Hong Kong Disneyland, and there you get in this vehicle with how many people are in our vehicle, Brent?
About 40.
About 40. So you and 39 of your closest friends get in the Iron Wing vehicle. You zoom out of Hong Kong Disneyland out over to the bay into Hong Kong, where you get caught up in this crazy adventure against the forces of Hydra. It's a ton of fun if you've been on it. I hope you enjoyed it. But that was just our very first step. We have a shop just outside the expo shop where you can get all your merch, which I of course love. I buy everything when I go to that shop. But that was just the first step. And then we did something more, Brent. We decided to build a whole land.
That's right. So a bunch of you guys have been to the Stark Expo in Hong Kong. How many of you have been to Avengers Campus all the way across Catella? Okay, wonderful.
World travelers.
Yes. So Avengers Campus was our first superhero Avengers land in any of our parks around the world. And again, just like you were saying, you know, Avengers Campus does not take place in a galaxy far, far away. It does not take place once upon a time. It takes place in the here and now. And when we really thought about what does it mean to bring a story like this that does take place in the real world to life, we really thought about, well, what is that aspiration? What is that wish fulfillment that you want to do? And obviously, you know, we've seen these heroes in so many different contexts. We've seen them in comic books, we've seen them in movies, we've seen them in pretty much every medium that exists, small screen, big screen, you name it. But we always see them. We never get to be them. Right? We always loved that idea that this is a place where I wanted to come and find the hero within. And so the entire premise of Avengers Campus was really built on this idea that the Avengers are welcoming us to find our own hero, right? That the world needs more heroes, and each of us, while we might not be super, absolutely have something to add to the world. And so it was really the ethos that went into the entire land. Well, click the next slide there. So, you know, obviously we have Guardians of the Galaxy, where you can break the Guardians out of a tough situation. That again, you are being a hero to them, you are helping them. We have Web Slingers, where you are helping Peter Parker on a mission to save not just the Worldwide Engineering Brigade, but all of Avengers Campus. And all of these stories put you at the center, right? And it's really this idea that we've seen the heroes before, but now we actually get to live out our own heroic dream.
Which I've always thought is cool, Brent, because when you think about the attractions that we've built for decades, really it's always about making you the protagonist of the story, right? You're the one on the runaway train, you're the one on the rocket through Space Mountain. But for us, you know, putting you in that story, not just watching a movie or reading a comic book, but actually getting to be the hero and having our characters interact with you directly is really unique, and it's a completely new form of storytelling.
Absolutely. And you know, that story is obviously something that we carried forward to Paris. How many of you have been out to Avengers Campus in Paris? I love how many of you have been to all of the parks around the world. It's spectacular. So Avengers Campus Paris shares that same ethos. It shares that idea that you are discovering the hero within. Here we have some unique experiences. You can still sling web to Spider-Man and his friends, but you can also blast off on Avengers Assemble Flight Force and help a more intergalactic threat alongside Captain Marvel and Iron Man. And the great news is we are just getting started.
That's right.
Right? We still have a lot more storytelling to do.
Well, we've got 8,000 to 9,000 characters, Brent, so
That's right.
we got a lot of movies to make, first
A lot of
of all.
movies.
Yeah, and a lot of attractions.
Yes. And
But what are we doing next?
Well, right here, right across the street, you guys have probably seen some of the construction going on for our Avengers Campus expansion. So we are doubling the size of Avengers Campus. Still that same premise of finding the hero within, but we're doing that in all new ways. So we're actually adding 2 new attractions to the land. The first of which is called the Stark Flight Lab. So this one is continuing the story of training to find that inner hero, and here you get to flight train with some of your favorite Avengers. So this is a brand new ride system. The world has never seen anything like this before. In classic Tony Stark fashion, robots are at the center of it. So you're actually going to sit in these wonderful 2-seater vehicles, get whisked along on a track, stop, and while you stop, one of those robot arms is going to grab onto the back of you and then deliver a multi-dimensional thrill experience where you get to train just like an Avenger.
I can't wait. I think it's gonna be absolutely awesome. I think that's what's been so fun about creating these experiences for Avengers Campus is we get to work with the filmmakers, we get to work with actors, we get to work with storytellers, and then Brent and I just get to play with our favorite action figures all day long.
That is true. That is true. And the next one here, actually, let's go one more. It's a nice animation. The next one here, this is our second attraction, Avengers Infinity Defense. So a lot of what we've been talking about is about bringing the heroes into our world, right? You know, again, like we said, it's a story that takes place in the here and in the now, and we actually built Avengers Campus in Paris and in Anaheim, but I sort of want to get out to all those other places that we've seen in the films, and that's exactly what Avengers Infinity Defense allows us to do. So here, we're going to board these wonderful vehicles called the Infinity Transports, and we're going to go on a multi-world mission with the Avengers. So you can see here that it's going to take us to places like Asgard, alongside Giant Man and Iron Man. It's going to take us to places like Wakanda, where maybe a helicarrier comes crashing down while we're meeting up with the Incredible Hulk. And all of this is on a mission to protect the world from a brand new threat, or at least a familiar threat in a new way, King Thanos. So I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with Thanos. He was the big bad of the Infinity Saga. Here we've just dipped our toe into the multiverse, and this is a Thanos from another reality. A Thanos that was so powerful that he bested the Avengers in his world. And if he were to gather all of the materials needed to travel between worlds, no reality would be safe, our own included. And that's going to be the adventure that really galvanizes our team and brings us along for our mission.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun.
And what else are we doing?
Well, in Hong Kong, you may see we have an amazing model just around the corner where we're going to go on a completely new adventure like we've never been before. I mentioned the Iron Man experience there. We also have a second attraction in the Stark Expo called Ant-Man and the Wasp Nano Battle, which is actually a sequel to the Iron Man experience. In true fashion, all of these stories are connected, but now we're going to go on a completely new adventure. And again, leaving the Stark Expo and going beyond here, you may see a familiar location in the background. We're going to be going to Asgard alongside Spider-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther, again with some of our closest friends, and a big bad villain that is yet to be revealed, Brent.
That is true. That is true. So we're expanding in Hong Kong, we're expanding in California. We're also bringing our storytelling to Shanghai. So there's a fantastic piece of art over there in the mall. We are bringing our first ever Spider-Man themed land to Shanghai Disneyland. That'll be the 9th land in Shanghai. And this is going to be an entire experience. We actually just installed our last piece of ride track for this roller coaster that you see behind me here. And now we're hard at work behind those walls, working on the entertainment, on the shopping, on the dining that's going to bring this land to life. And so we're finding these heroes in more places than ever before. And are you excited about what's coming?
I'm very excited, if you guys can't tell. I love this stuff. This is seriously a dream come true for me. I've loved these stories and these characters my whole life, and so getting to have this collaboration with Walt Disney Imagineering between us and Marvel Studios is really just an absolute blast. We're having fun.
It's true. I wish I could go back and tell myself, standing at the submarine voyage, that I'd one day get to be here, sharing all of this with you guys. It is incredible the amount of love that I know is in this room for all of our parks around the world, for all of our resorts, and it is a privilege to get to be a part of connecting these worlds and bringing these characters together. And I hope you guys really have a wonderful time here at D23.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you all so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Come visit